Yep, thanks very much. And I got into my hotel room at midnight last night and finally read the program, realised we only have 10 minutes. So I actually ditched half my slides, and in there, of course, is anything relating to the company. It's all about the project. So by way of background, Mod, just over 2 years ago, was a $3 million sort of burnt out West Perth Explorer. We got very, very lucky and acquired a major holding in a copper belt, and we're in a unique situation now where I think we're the only company probably on the planet that dominates a copper belt in a friendly jurisdiction, and it's a sediment-hosted copper belt. They're rare and much sought after. Here we are today. Market cap's gone from 3 million to north of 100 million. We've got something like 23 million in the bank. We've got a major exploration campaign underway, and we have a very nice startup 10-year mine, which we completed a feasibility study for only 22 months after discovery. So the story is going to focus on the project, not the people, but I just should say that the board management team, very solid, very strong team, very committed to this project. These are guys that have been involved in exploration, developing mines, financing mines, processing, exporting concentrates. So we're in pretty good shape, and we're building that team down the sort of mid-level management chain. We're up in the northwest of Botswana here, up against the Namibian border on the left-hand side. The copper belt runs for about 350 kilometres through Botswana and disappears under deep sand into Namibia. There's sort of two components here. The eastern part in blue, that's all been consolidated by American group of guys there called Cooper Canyon Capital, which is funded by GNRI out of London here. They've consolidated probably around 7 million tonnes of copper in resources. There's 7 major deposits in there, looking to develop a 100 million tonne, 2% underground mine called Zone 5. 25 years of history in the blue zone, as we call it there. And basically all of the orange and red is dominated by Mod. The paler colour is a joint venture we have with an AIM-listed company here called Metal Tiger. So it's Mod 70, Metal Tiger 30. And they wrote the first cheque basically to get us into this really unique project. The ground that we hold is around about 200 kilometres in length. There are 3 prospective copper zones, if you like, or corridors through that. We're clearly focused on the central structural corridor for many good reasons. And that runs for 200 kilometres. It's around about anything from 20 to 50 kilometres wide. However, we have many other targets, all delineated as Ts. So we started out initially with T1 to T10, found copper at T1, found copper at T2, skipped T3, drilled T4, found copper at T4. Then Jacques, who's sitting down here, got a bit wondered what had happened to T3, a very subtle copper soil anomaly, drilled the first hole. We ended up with 53 metres at 2% copper. Shares went up 10 bagger on day one. We've never looked back. So for 2 years since then, we've put out various resources. We're up around the 36 million tonnes at over 1% copper and climbing. We're due another resource update in early June this year. So we're very active, probably 6 rigs going there today. And we're now looking to find the next T3 or perhaps something even better. So I'll just roll with the story here. Big year underway. This is a year really of transition for Mod. We're doing many things to develop this towards what we believe is a mid-cap asset opportunity. The company, we're looking to consolidate our long history of paper, 2.3 billion. If shareholders vote in 2 weeks' time to consolidate, they'll become 230 million. We're marketing very strongly in London and in Hong Kong, Singapore, and in Australia. We're building a proper register of people who really get the story. And I guess if we get people to site, they see the core, they see the scale of what we're doing, they get the big picture here. So we have 3 resource projects, currently T3 pit, expansion that we're considering to push it out from 9 years to 12 years. T3 underground, which is simply down dip. T1 underground, again we're targeting sort of 2% underground grades here, and 3 major exploration areas. The first mine, T3, as I say, we completed the PFS. That was end of January, announced a very robust project, and we're looking to finalise the feasibility study. So we have a highly experienced team of guys taking us through to end of March, when we should wrap up. We'll then apply for a mining licence. We work very closely to meet all in-country objectives here. We're setting new standards in Botswana in terms of employment, in terms of local support, in terms of technology and mining expertise that will come from Australia straight into Botswana. I should say we're an ASX listed company for that. Simple slide, but a lot of work goes in there, so probably a little bit too much information here, but a base case pit, 2.5 million tonne a year, and an expansion case up to 4 million tonnes. Expansion currently in our models kicking in year 3, so it enables that opportunity to fund that from cash flow. It's a very big cash flow generator. It's a very simple, wonderful geometry. Metallurgically, it's perfect. It's in the right place. So I just don't have time to dwell on that. I'll just have to say that's on our website. The pit, taking it down about 220 metres. The ore zone sort of anything up to 100 metres wide. We're looking at multiple stacked horizons here of sediment-hosted copper with a structural component to that. On the right-hand side, we see our production profile over a 12-year life. The orange is the base case, takes us up around the 25,000 tonne a year copper. The blue is the expansion case, and we've left a very obvious gap between 30,000 and 60,000 tonnes a year. That's what we're looking to fill. That's where we want to be if we're going to start joining the mid-cap club, and we have a clear path towards that just on what we know. Just to give you a little idea, quickest way to show this deposit is around about 1.5 kilometres long. This is a long section. We're just trying to demonstrate that this deposit sits on a dome. We're right on the top of a dome, and domes feature very clearly in our expansion of our exploration. We're currently spending around about 15 million in the next 12 months on drilling out many domes in this region. Again, just showing the pit and the underground that we're now pursuing. The metallurgy, again, time challenges me here, so we're looking at sort of well north of 90% recoveries. We have the full suite of copper minerals, very little oxide. This is all primary copper sulfides, bornite, chalcocite, chalcopyrite. And we're looking at really high quality, high grade concentrates, which would be transported through Namibia and exported from Walvis Bay. So clearly off-takers are starting to come and knock on our door, and we're very keen to talk to smelters directly because of my history of dealing with Chinese smelters. I reckon it's a pretty interesting option. Infrastructure, superb. Highway running down here. Government committed to running power down this road to support the copper belt, of which they have in effect given us stewardship to explore and develop. And we layout of the proposed operations. We're looking first production 2020. We have a really unusual situation in country. We've created a company, Sekutu Metals, Rhino Metals. All the day-to-day activities are run by just a wonderful team of Botswana nationals here. Some of these guys have worked globally. This is just some of our exploration team here. And we almost use Australian and South African expertise in a consulting role into this group of people. So this is a really unique opportunity for us to really work with community, government objectives, and try and deal with that in many ways. We're building a construction camp to an Australian standard currently for 400 people, simply not enough accommodation capacity in the area where we operate. The scale, I just want to come back to that. I've only got a minute or less. Two areas, T3 dome and a black ellipse T20 dome. T3 dome around about 1,000 square kilometres, T20 dome at 2,000 square kilometres. We think these domes are dome complexes. We've changed our thinking here. This is a snapshot of electromagnetics of the T3 dome. We've identified and announced just this week that some highly sophisticated processing has identified multiple prospective domes within this area. Our T3 open pit mine is shown on top of a large, broad, conductive dome of the host sediments. And then, for example, on the right-hand side, 8 kilometres to the west, we see a very similar dome, all buried at about the same depth, starting 100 metres. This is another one here, 20 kilometres east. There are something like 7 of these domes. We're very curious what is below them, and we're drilling there right now. T20 dome on another scale again. This is driven by soil anomalies that extend over 60 kilometres. We're working through this very robustly to get drilling as soon as we can. So it's a mix, if you like, of production driven by a very experienced team and a massive exploration campaign which is firmly supported by Botswana. Thanks very much.